A very good afternoon to you, our viewers. It's public holiday here in Nigeria because it's the 1st of May, May Day, Workers' Day, and congratulations to every single worker here in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. If you have a 9 to 5, if you run a business, if you are in Nigeria trying to make ends meet, if you are in Nigeria going from one office to the other, you have somewhere you resume, you have somewhere you close. Today is a day off for you, of course, except if you are an essential worker like some of us. Congratulations, happy Workers' Day. But hey, the show must go on. The roundtable is here again on Thursday at this time like we always do. My name is Shegun Odunayo. We have two interesting guests in the house like usual, and we are going to be talking about three interesting topics that are eating up the polity, that are affecting the lives of Nigerians. We'll be dissecting these stories from various quarters. We'll be presenting the truth to you, our viewer. I have back after a very long break, Mr. Odani Anyotoye is here with his own glasses. His own glasses has ropes, but he's going to be doing justice to our topics. Welcome back on board.
I hope you have glasses that does not have hope.
I don't even have any glasses at all. And our regular Mr. Adekunle Aliu is in the building. No long shorts today. No long shirts today. Short shirts, but long ideas that is going to be bringing on the show this afternoon. A very good afternoon to you, Mr. Adekunle Aliu. Where do we begin from this afternoon? We begin from today, the essence of today. The leaders of the labor union have come out to say we need a review of our wages. And this is because the situation of the country is too difficult for the Nigerian worker. Inflation has eaten deep into the amounts that are being gotten from our employers, from the federal government. And take-home fee, take-home money, take-home salary can barely take us to the bus stop. I'll be starting with you, Mr. Daniel. Some persons will say, nice one, labor union. We are glad you are making this noise. Some other persons are probably thinking, after the noise making, what will happen? Some other persons are thinking, they will know how they will settle it behind. This is just noise for the gram, like they say in this day. What's your opinion about this subject matter?
Yes, it is one thing that is we are all aware that a lot of things are issues here, there are issues there. But of course, it's one of those things that in every country you should be able to have a very strong opposition that would be able to stand and say, if something is going wrong, this is the situation. You shouldn't have a situation whereby when something is going wrong, nobody's talking and we are just, like somebody said, of course, sometime ago, which is the truth, that everybody is managing and adapting to the situation, which of course is the nature of Nigerian people, and the people generally, we are so strong, we are very strong to adapt to issues and challenges. So here we have labor. If they are coming up, say, okay, this is what we want to do, of course, it's their rights. And I don't think anyone will stop them from going out to on the island, whatever. So I believe strongly that let people have that right
to speak. All right. 70,000 naira was minimum wage, yes, increased by this current president. Of course, due to the situation of the country and the increase in prices of goods and commodity. But these guys are saying, hey, fine, there was an increment, but this increment has not been swallowed by economic realities in the country. And they are saying there should be an upward review of this 70,000 naira.
Yes. Their call is appropriate.
Is it because this one is part of...
No, the thing is that...
It's an issue that concerns you usually...
It's not because it's like... No, when you look at the reality on ground, what can 70,000 minimum wage do for you, an average Nigerian? Let's be... It's factual. I'm sure the presidency, they know that things are not as uhuru as it used to be. The 7,000 is limited. You get a house, you pay your child's school fees, you feed yourself. How much can 7,000 cater for you in the month, and you still have a saving for investors and for banks? If you can't do that, it's not. I think their cry is applauded. They should keep the cry on. The president should know that they need to do more. Because you see, the things that are eroding the wages are much. You have the fuel subsidy removal. You have the devaluation of the currency.
Of the naira.
So these things are really eating deep. Then you have the inflation, the galloping inflation that is every day. You see the food inflation, the industrial, everything, all form of inflation hitting us hard. So we need to do more. Aside wage award or increase in wages that labor is always demanding, I think we should also look at the bigger scale and look what exactly can we do to shore up this wage, because when you increase these wages also, so that we don't go back to the days of Udoji, whereby increasing wage resulted into galloping inflation. So we need to, what do? We want wage increase. All of us want money in our pocket, but I haven't said that if you get the money, how do we spend it? What are the right way to put it so that it serves as a buffer to the total economy, not to turn it upside down again? We need to look at it. The government, the labor is not wrong for their cry. They should please cry more. We want more money in our pockets.
Some states are not even paying 70,000 naira minimum wage yet. In fact, most states are not paying yet. Only a couple of states are paying. Lagos is even paying higher than that, of course, expectedly. I mean, it's Lagos state and the bogus funds. Some other states, a lot of northern states are not paying it yet. In fact, Zamfara state governor said at some point that what he met on ground was, I think about, was it 10 or 12,000 naira? Some were not even paying the 18,000 naira, as at when it was 18,000 naira. Then it became 70, and very many states are not paying 70,000 naira, despite the fact that there's an increase in the money that the federal government pays them monthly due to the removal of subsidy. Now, Labour is crying out for an increment to the 70. Is this just a dream?
Of course, it explains why we have the roots of, should I call it a trend of insecurity in these regions that you have mentioned. Because, of course, you know, when somebody is hungry, then there is tendency of going beyond what it's supposed to do normally, which is they go astray in that line. So, of course, we are aware that this minimum wage, if it is paid according to the way we are expecting it, people to get it, then surely there will be a lot of things that will be done. There will be families will be able to live well, better education for the children and all that. And when you have better education, people will be well enlightened. But here we have a situation where the people, they are not getting the minimum wage. If government is not paying the minimum wage, you should be rest assured that the private sector within that same region will not be paying the same minimum wage. Then at that end, the people will be at the receiving end. The children who are supposed to have education will be at the receiving end. So there will be enormous challenges. And when you have this, then the insecurity comes. So if we want to address the problem of this nation, first address hunger, address poverty, address some of these critical aspects that would not allow, that will give room for people to begin to. Yes, we know that there are some people that want to even go overboard, no matter how much they have, they want to also steal. That's why you have politicians, they want to, some politicians that they want to amass. They are wealthy already before they get there, but they want to get more. That is not what we are saying. We're talking about the common man out there that really wants to just live his or her normal life, eat the normal food, be okay with the family and all that. But there is these challenges of this minimum wage all the time, and we also have that's concern. So I think the best thing right now is for the government to look for a way to address it. One, there's a need. We all agree that there's a need to review the minimum wage, and it is something that is not something that we have to delay. It is an urgent. It is very necessary at this particular point, because if you want the people to be okay, you want the people to listen, you want the people to do the necessary things, then you must address what is primary to the constitution, the welfare of the people. So the government is very important that they need to look to this direction.
Why is it that when things of the masses are mentioned, the government are not as they don't put enough urgency, they are not as strengthened, there's no vigor in trying to get it done, because some states are not paying minimum wage. There's no, I mean, nothing is being done about it. The labor unions in this state just cry. But when they want to get vehicles for themselves, it's fast.
Let's look at it again from this angle. The resources of the state, the expenditure, human needs are insatiable.
Of course.
The resources to meet them are not that much. So you have to draw a scale of preference. What exactly is a scale of preference? So if what we want as a citizen, as people of a country, cannot be met by the resources we have to slow it down. So the government will now take time to look at it and say, how do I achieve this? Note that our economy is what? It's oil-based. So we're growing it. So until we're able to grow our economy, and it's because the government should understand, or people should understand that, look, as much as the government is a regulator and part-time a creator of the resources, the resources is in the hand of the people. Let's say, for instance, what Trump is doing in the US, trying to bring about tariff and doing what we call transactional leadership. You will see that it's to bring back power to the people of America in terms of production. Now look, you've sold your power, you've willed your power to China. We got to take it back so that we can be the producing nation. We can be the #1 sought nation. That is what every country, that's what Nigeria too should be doing. So when we're talking about increasing minimum wage and we want the money, also we should go back to look, what are we creating that will bring forth double resources for the country? It is the things we created, the things we manufacture as a people that we can sell in our comparative cost advantage to other part of the country or to the world. Then
so that's why the poor are ignored. The workers are ignored.
The poor are not ignored. When you say the poor are ignored, I say no. It's like we put a scale of preference. What is priority? If we want money now in the hands of everybody's pocket, so how are we going to give the money? So who are those who are going to get the money? So if we're putting the money in their pocket, is it going to be in salary? Is it going to be in subvention? Is it going to be in agriculture? Is it going to be in manufacturing? So we find a way so that it can come back to the country as a resources. If it doesn't come back to us, we just be spending and not getting.
But we spend for politicians.
You have to. Those are machinery of government that must be run. Every ministry must be run. There's a limited allocation of fund for those things to go by. The politicians must get their cars. They must get, when they are in office as a minister, as a legislator, as a senator, there are paraphernalia that goes with them. It's part of your resources.
Except
or the
demand of minimum wage.
The payment of minimum wage. Now, if you look at it, if you give the minimum wage also too excessive, it becomes a cost to the country. It becomes an udoji like we had in the 60s or in the early 70s, where we paid that money and we had galloping inflation from udojis. It's minimum wage. So you also have to control that economic priority, though it has to be looked into. It takes a lot. Because if you just say the nation demand, the citizen demand this, you give. The citizen demand that, you give. In the long run, the country might run broke.
Federal allocation, FAC, the federal allocation from the federal government is ×2, ×3 in certain quarters. It should not be a problem because there are enough funds to run. Because of the increase. Before President Tinubu came on board, many of these states probably never dreamt that they will be getting some of these funds. Look at how much is coming in. Look at the dangerous funds coming into the states. And you look at the fact that paying wages, what people have worked for, should be the barest minimum. It should be the least of things to do. Why is this still too difficult?
I think it's too difficult because we still have criminals the helms of affair. You understand? You still have people who don't give a damn about the suffering of the masses. Because you can't tell me we are talking about scale of preference and the minimum wage is a problem. If we pay 100,000 naira minimum wage today, it doesn't change anything. Because the reality is there. Okay, you talked about funds coming to states. It has increased. Let me tell you the truth. Even if you triple it, those that are still stealing, the loopholes within those states, will still continue to steal. So much that the people that are supposed to get the benefit will not get it. We have seen in this state, in this country, a particular state, after the administration, we saw reality, salaries that were withheld, that were not paid, the specific fund that is supposed to go to that salary was used by the person in the helms of affair for personal things. So the reality is that the fund is there. And this priority we are talking about will still be met. Aspects that is supposed to be met, even the government functionaries and all that they're supposed to be run, will still be run if we pay 100,000 naira minimum wage to the workers. But we have people in this country that will not just allow things to work. Theirs is to steal the fund of the country. Theirs is to impoverish the people and weaponize poverty so much that people will begin to depend on them and begin to vote where they are not supposed to vote when there is need, when the need arises for elections.
Okay, I think it's important that we state the facts now. Yeah. Before President Tinubu came on board, there was a 43% less. The federal allocation was 43% less before President Tinubu came on board. But a year after, there was a 43% increase, resulting in 15.26 trillion naira. State governments received 62% rise, and then the total amount was 5.81 trillion. In monthly allocation, there was a difference of 432.96 billion naira per month to states, if you grade it divided by the states. So why
we get this?
Why is it difficult?
So also goods and services, the price of goods and services has also skyrocketed. As much as you agree that you think you have this big money in your pocket, go and check how much they gave contract during Warri period and how much the contract costs now. Go and check how much they gave during Jonathan and how much that same contract costs now. Despite the fact that government have so much money, you see the volume so much coming. The same thing is the cost of expenditure
also increase.
So how do you need to do a management? But if you don't do it, you will wreck the state. Is that only about salary? How about health? How about education loans? How about schools? About a lot of schools are complaining now of trying to pay electricity bill in billions, and the government cannot afford it. Even Aso Rock is saying it's going to go to solar. It tells you need to manage your resources. If you don't do that, and you think if you pay a Nigerian worker 1 million in this current economy, it's not enough.
No, if you consider the increase in the price of commodities, you have to consider it to increase wages and salary. Not
hold on. Okay.
Not that you have to now look at the fact that you increase prices of commodity, then the salary. No, that is not the variance. The variance here is that this thing has increased, then let the salary increase. This thing has the price of goods and services has increased.
Okay.
Then the salary should increase.
Our resources,
so that the man
at what proportion is our resources as a country increasing? So you need to look at that, because at that proportion you're looking at it. Not that it's not only salary that is your expenditure. There are other things you have that you're going to spend money on as a nation. Your defense is there, your police is there.
You are not supposed, so you have to cut the expenses.
Everything would be looked into appropriately.
You have to cut. There are some certain things that need to be cut down,
even as at this,
so that you'll be able to meet the people first. So the people always consider the people
even
first.
As we are now, do you think the legislators are enjoying full scales of their salary? Because of where we are, the level where we are, we look at what they go through, we say, these guys are enjoying it. Can you scale your life to travel over a place and do it? You think you're enjoying it?
We have to move on to the next topic.
Sometimes it's not fun.
Bags of money. Everything is going to your account.
And also in your constituency as a politician, you also have to pay.
We have to people. We have to move on to the next topic.
As much as their bank account is increasing.
In this country, we have people who are also growing and working hard, and their businesses are expanding. Look at the cook. The lady cook in VI, that cook, I don't just want to mention it.
We have
all in this country, they are working, it's your choice. If you choose to want to live and exploit somewhere else,
please go. And that's why the politicians can travel so anywhere, they can go anywhere they want to go.
We have to move on now. Well, I mean, these are some of the issues, counter opinions and counter opinions will continue to exist. But like we always say on this show, we present various angles to you and present the truth to you, which sometimes is meant for you, the viewer, to decipher. We have to move on now to the next topic. And after we broke the news yesterday, talking about the Punch, it has gone so viral. There are also counter opinions, which is normal. Some persons have come out to say, no, that's not the issue. But what am I talking about exactly? We're talking about the NNPCL and the states of the Warri refineries. Nigeria as a country spent almost $900 million to bring alive these refineries, but there's been a setback over there at the Warri Refinery, and we begin to wonder where the money is spent have gone into. $897 million US, just a little bit, almost $900 million US. Looks like it has gone into a project that is not yielding the fruits yielding the fruits we expected it to yield. Money has gone down the drain, productivity close to zero. I'll be starting with you now, Mr. Aliu. We spent money. We were expectant. We were really expectant on this show. A year, 2 years ago. No, I don't think so. I think he just has his own view. But now, there's nothing to be written.
I don't understand.
About the entire situation.
I felt ashamed. Wow. But again, this is it. If you, as somebody who is mounting a post for us as a country, cannot do it sincerely, then we have issues. That's why we are having issues. So sometimes it's not even the overall boss, what they do upstairs at the higher level, at the presidency level. It's each one of us who is mounting a post and is not mounting that post appropriately that is causing problem for the people. If you are expected to and you told us that, look, the NNPCL is working, the refinery is working well, and now we are discovering that, look, it's all a hoax, then what have you done? You deserve, what do you deserve? You deserve to go to jail for it. I think they should probe what exactly happened and make it public. Look, this is what happened, this is what happened, and that person that is responsible for that duty should be questioned and should be punished. It's wrong for them to tell us that NNPCL, the refinery, Warri Refinery is working, and in January it has stopped working.
Just
about a month. Look, in December, just to placate us, because we are reporting that, look, it was not working as they promised in August, it was not working as they promised in September, and in December they gave us a fluke. Everybody involved in that chain of deceit should be dealt with. It's wrong.
I mean, what was your opinion? It came alive in December,
that is the golden goose that
in January. Now we are in, this is May. The last time it worked was January. February, March, April, of course, new month, May, and it's a whole loss. It's a whole loss. About 125. It's a refinery that's supposed to be producing 125,000 barrels. Per day. And after we celebrated on this same show, happy that to his sister refinery, the Port Harcourt one, at least we'll be getting effects. A lot of celebration, and then just discovered that it stopped working about a month after it came alive. Why did it suddenly go dead after it came alive, despite the funds spent? What went wrong?
I think one area, before I go to the area of what went wrong, is that this is one area I would commend President Bola Tinubu, is the fact that he could take that bold step to remove the leadership of the NNPCL. There had been a lot of secrecy shielded within that industry or sector, because this is one of the powerhouse of the nation, if I can say that. Because you can imagine after just less than a month that the power changed, and you could see a lot of issues that were going. Now, like he said, it's not just about, yes, the person that is the boss, but again, it's also about them, because the people are under you. You have to have reports. Why is this working? Why is this not working? And this is one of the things I've said earlier on, the issue of corruption. Corruption is everywhere. What is everybody trying? Everybody's trying to do one thing or the other to ensure that they make more money to themselves, increase their pockets, increase their bank accounts, and put the masses, the people, in suffering, in penury, in hardship. So I think first, removing that leadership is a welcome development. Now, the aspect of what went wrong, yes, corruption. Corruption went wrong. Some people, I believe strongly somewhere, have enriched their pockets through ensuring that one thing or the other is bypassed. No, for sure. When you are supposed to ensure that this thing is done, this other thing is not done. Then also the issue of compromise. You know, within this oil sector, there's a lot of things that even we cannot begin to explain.
They said it was shut down for safety reasons, safety concerns.
Safety, because it's going to explode.
No, they said, no real details, but safety concerns in a segment of the refinery, and that it's working.
When Dangote within a short period of time came up with this refinery, there's no safety issue. They didn't think about shutting down Dangote for a particular period of time because of safety.
It's a
That's
fluke.
a private sector for
fluke.
crying out loud.
Like you said, it's a
country
fluke.
Nigeria.
They
compromise.
deceived us. It's a compromise. It's a fluke. It was wrong
Somewhere has done
to
something
run it.
and
If you are going to
compromise the
run
country.
for the numbers of years that refinery had been moribund, and you're not bringing it back, you're telling me you're bringing it back, you're stopping it again.
After 30 days.
What exactly went wrong within that you didn't check? Your checks were not. We should be singing your. You know, I sit there and I defend NNPCL when we talk about this issue. But today my hands are tied. Like, look, this is wrong. It is wrong. Let's call what is wrong is wrong.
That's it. And
It's wrong.
that you just still see.
We've suffered so much wanting that refinery to work. We've reported so much we want that refinery to work. And people want that refinery to work. So is it wrong for Nigerians to want the refinery to work?
And don't
I think the
forget,
former president-
there are still
Tell
people
us.
there that are still being paid though. There are still people there
See,
receiving
Baba once said-
I was coming there. Former President Obasanjo has said several times that refinery and those refineries owned by the federal government of Nigeria will not work. He said he called in some experts when he was in power and he told him the truth about the place and he put it up for sale. It was even former late President Yar'Adua who recalled that decision of the federal government, and from then till now we've had 3 presidents
Spending
year.
hugely.
Was it correct? Do you think former President
if the former president who was at the helms of affair, he has done his findings about this refinery. I've seen that this thing is not working, and we can see here a private sector, a man that was able to Dangote that was able to start his refinery within a certain period of time. The refinery is working and working fine. That is private sector. If the Nigerian refinery is not going to work, then what are we waiting for? Let them give it to the private sector that will be able to manage it effectively.
You asked about what could cause the refinery to work. I think it's the secrecy within that space and the cartel that runs the NNPCL machinery from wherever reform. Now, that is the problem. How can you set up a refinery and placate us that is working, and after is it up to a month?
30 days. December to January.
And you are closing it down for safety.
Safety reasons.
What safety reason?
Did they not envisage?
It didn't work for 1 year before you have issues. You didn't do your checks, so it means something went wrong. It means there's a secret, there's a deceit. Either Baba Obasanjo is very much right, or we are
should
being
it be
foolish.
put up for sale? Should it be?
Like I just
that's
said,
not what the-
it's clear. You see, if you can't be doing the same thing the same way and expect a different result. If you have seen that Nigeria cannot, in fact, somebody said it some time ago that government does not have any business in business. So the reality is, if we see that we cannot manage our business as a government very well, to manage a business effectively, then we should allow those that are in business to manage business. Let the private sector and do whatsoever thing that needs to be done.
I would disagree. Because we need it as a backup, as a national asset. You can have every other refineries anywhere, but the federal government of this country need to have its own refinery.
Well, when in a situation
Now,
when
the problem is who are those who are killing the refinery?
That's the question.
They are the Nigerians.
That's the question.
And let me show you.
Why are Nigerians allowing their own refinery to go down?
It has been on like this
Why?
for well over 2 decades.
It's wrong.
Now the question is,
We are killing ourselves by
when will
doing
the
something.
machinery of government have enough energy, have enough power to go after some of these persons that are killing this industry?
And that is why I said, see, it is clear. It is the people. It's not only about the president, okay? Because the president will not leave the Aso Rock and be chasing people up and down. And the EFCC boss will not leave his office and be chasing people. The ICPC, the same thing. There are people. If the boss sends the junior staff, go and do this. The junior staff send the other staff, go and do that. Then you begin to see the hierarchy and the chains. Within these processes, there will be 1 or 2 persons that will compromise. And why they are compromising not because they want to compromise, but they are compromising because they have interest in one thing or the other, either interest in a position or interest in in getting more funds for themselves, which of course we have seen that play. And that is only effective, and that is only working effectively in the public sector. In the private sector, they have machineries in place to checkmate. Not that they don't have corruption, but it is minimal, even in the in the private sector. Where even when these things are discovered, you see them sacked. But here, in the public sector, if you see these things discovered, they either move the person to another ministry, or one Baba Isale says, "Is my person, please let him be." Before you know it, they they quench the issue. But in the private sector, forget it. There's no which Baba is selling.
All right, let's move on to the third topic and the last one for the day. On Monday, this Monday, the 28th of April 2025, the governor of Delta State, Governor Sheriff Warri, joined the APC. He didn't join alone. He joined with the entire retinue of PDP stakeholders in Delta State. I'm talking about former governor of, immediate past governor of Delta State, Governor Okowa, Senator Okowa, and his entire House of Assembly members, his entire local government chairman, and of course, the persons under them. It was an entire move that shook the very foundations of the political atmosphere in Nigeria. You know what is interesting? Is that just a couple of hours ago, yesterday, the governor of Akwa Ibom State, Governor Eno, said it is time for their ship to sail out of the PDP waters and straight into APC waters. Because according to him, they can no longer survive in that atmosphere. Now, these are two of the biggest PDP states in the country. Akwa Ibom, Delta. Delta has never belonged to any other party outside of the PDP. The PDP, the Delta people have always given confidence to the PDP structure since the return to democracy in 1999. Akwa Ibom has always been PDP as well. Of course, I remember that the Senate president won his election under the APC, but as a state, the state has always belonged to the PDP. You know what is interesting is that many other governors have been reported to be saying goodbye to the PDP and are beginning a voyage to the APC. I'll be starting with you now. What is President Tinubu doing correctly that is being able to pluck the PDP governors? And why are these PDP governors running away from their home to another home? Why the sudden love for the APC?
Well, to answer that question, I will tell you what the president is doing right, that is making people think or move in their mass, including governors, the major governors in the country, is negotiation. I think the man called President Bola Ahmed Tinubu knows the onions of its politics. Yes, he's a politician, a master in the game. So it is very difficult to see somebody or set of persons that beats into his game. You can imagine what happened in 2023. After that 2023 election, my brother, I just say forget it. Why did I say forget it? Because you can imagine somebody beating a sitting president. That is what I take it like.
Oh, the sitting president, they did support him.
I know. You hear from a mouth.
I was. So
it's the reality, because we can see every move, all efforts, just to frustrate that process of his emergence. We Nigerians saw it, including the change of the Naira notes, knowing fully well that maybe one bullion ban and all that. But of course, we saw how the election went. So the president knows his politics. He knows how to handle its subjects. Then also he creates network. He creates men. And I think these people over time have been able to now spread their tentacles to be able to get people to negotiate. Okay, please come on board. And that is politics for you. And politics also give room for people constitutionally to cross carpets. As you are seeing in Delta State that some person, in fact, the whole PDP have moved to APC. Don't be surprised tomorrow you see the whole APC in Delta State move to PDP. Because of course they can't work together. They are not friends, except maybe while they get there, they begin to give themselves some other negotiation and say, okay, no, because we have come, we are not going to take this, we are going to do.
You take that.
You take that, and these are negotiations. Nigeria is a cake for everybody to begin to.
Nigeria is a cake.
Yes, cut and begin to share, and that's why the negotiation is there. Because if you are not a cake, what is the negotiation about? They'll say you get this lawyer. It's a business for them. So I think the man knows the business of politics. President Bola Tinubu, forget it. He knows the business of politics.
Now, these governors are in states where the people are predominantly PDP. I don't think there's any reason for Governor Sheriff to be scared of him not winning in 2027. From even reports we are hearing in Delta is that he's a performing governor. Same with on the way out of PDP, Governor Eno, who had fired about twice now in support of the governor, in support of the president. He has spoken publicly twice. Yesterday was probably the third or fourth time. These are not guys who are in states that
shaky.
You know, you can. I mean, the people move from PDP to APC. These are states that come rain, come shine. You know, these are PDP states. So, what is the reason?
I would say, if you look at it, the 2027 election is coming, and they still want a Southern president. So maybe that's the reason why they're okay, because we want to support another Southern president and we want this regime to continue. Let's show him full support, because notice that the article comes, the coalition comes, everybody's the politicking has started.
We are not hearing
the grounds
from the
are
coalition
shaking.
except tweets.
You think
they are just saying tweets?
You think they are moving about? They are doing their own politicking. They are doing their networking. They are trying to pull the carpet off the president's feet if he's not strong enough to hold his carpet. They will pull it off his feet. But I guess, like he said, the man knows his onion. So he's doing his own politicking to the way he likes it. So he's winning over and reiterating to the people that, look, South will still retain the presidency come 2027. And that's what those governors are doing. They want a Southern governor to continue. They don't want anybody from the North to pull the carpet off their feet. If it had been a neutral time, maybe if you had spent the next 4 years and it's supposed to go to the North, and we are seeing this kind of decamping, I would say something is wrong. But I think they want a Southern governor to continue for the next 8 years. And that's good. But again, we will now ask ourselves, these guys have the power. They would have done the way Wike did. I hold my party in my state. I win it for the presidency in another party. So they have the muscles. So why are they moving? So again, it brings behoves us again to look at it again. If the Delta governor can move with all his machinery,
including the PDP's the vice presidential flag bearer of the PDP just 2 years ago.
So something is amiss.
That is why I'm saying it's beyond just saying we want a Southern.
It's something is amiss.
This is about negotiation, my brother.
So what
is beyond just saying we are looking for.
The question I will ask is this: what negotiation will the number one person in the state, who owns the party, who owns the machinery of the party, not be able to manage the PDP to win the next election?
Now, it is very important in every.
What is his fear?
It is very.
If Ibori had moved, Ibori had not moved.
Yes,
his daughter moved.
Has moved.
So I guess from his daughter's moving, there is a shaky ground.
There's no guarantee.
But again, as he has moved to APC now, the APC should be weary. These people might be wolves in sheep clothing, because remember during Jonathan's period, the same kind of a mass movement, they didn't guarantee Jonathan the election. They didn't. So I think the APC need to be careful. As much as people are coming in, if you don't, PDP initially thought they will rule for how many years? 60 years.
They kept saying it.
Did they rule for 60 years?
Not at all. Very quickly.
APC is